It's time for Mike Geary's show. He's ripping off Cullinane. He wants to find some fans to talk to, 'cause he's lonely on Saturdays. Mike was told to come up with something, and I guess this is what he did. We should give him some points for trying. Kirk wants to know what the point of this is. Just a warning for all you guys, you'll never get this hour back in your life. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you. This is Mike and the Minifans. This is Mike and the Minifans. Mike is talking with you.
I may have reached my breaking point. This could be the lowest I've been as a human being, as a host, a broadcaster, certainly as anyone in the Minifan world, because moments before the show, I found out that Latino Kirk was booked by intern Justin, took the reins this week, booked the show. Latino Kirk bailed. He went on a week-long vacation for content, apparently, with an intern, and then decided it was time to spend some time with his family. And then I said, you know what? It'll be funny to have Will on for 10 minutes. I didn't want Will on for the whole show, but I thought 10 minutes would be fine. We could reminisce about the song we collaborated on that flopped. He could tell us all his tales from Florida. That is what he went down there for, after all. And it turns out Will is too tired to do the show. Not shitting you. That's the level that I'm at. This is the place that I've gotten after all the struggles I've gone through in the podcasting world. I've gotten to a place where intern Will, I'm asking him to be on my show, and he tells me he's too sleepy. So that's where we stand on Mike and the Minifans. I don't know if we can recover from that, but we're about to try. Bring on the leftovers, Justin. Bring on the guys we're left with, I guess. How humiliated should I be, everyone? All right, Minahan, you're a veteran of this program. Is this the lowest you've ever seen it?
Yeah.
That's rough,
bad.
huh?
This is pretty bad, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
What did Will go down there for?
Fishing for dicks. I don't know.
I was told
fishing for dicks.
I was swindled into believing this was a vacation with two grown men for content purposes. They were going to go down there and get content. So someone who's on the show, albeit maybe the least important part, but I am in there. I ask him to be on here with me and tell me about his adventure, and he's too sleepy.
Yeah, apparently the content was protein injections. So
from Dr.
A lot of wrestling, a lot of horsing around, just some horseplay between three dudes.
You guys, it sounded like by the pregame conversation, you guys followed it a little more closely. Is there anything worth talking about there? I know Will got a tattoo. That was very exciting. He's not going to regret that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I saw just bits and pieces, but yeah, the tattoo definitely stood out. I saw Ned Snark showed up toward the end. It was very nice to see him. But and then the tweet about just a random tweet about wrestling and how Latino Kirk and Will just out of nowhere just wrestled. No one asked. He just wanted to let everyone know that they just horsed around. So
just two grown men playing Nightcrawler.
Just like a 40-year-old, like a 26-year-old, just night crawlers. Yeah. Yeah, just crawl around the ground. That's all.
We got to see how disgusting John from Scranton, how disgusting his feet are.
Yes,
how short he is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that controversy. That really stirred stuff up.
He's 1.5 minors. Little guy.
Yeah.
How do they follow this? So this is the sequel, and they're going to do a third one, even though no one wants it. It's a lot like the film industry as a whole, where they're just going to keep churning these out because people will kind of watch because they're bored, maybe. I don't know. Where do they go after this? Is there any room for improvement?
If it's not North Dakota, then I'm not watching it.
Yeah, they got to do something.
Yeah,
right.
I need a Sheldon cameo. Mm-hmm. That's what we need.
Hell,
that'll really spice things up.
I'd like to see Latino Kirk try to drive, heavy machinery on a farm.
We've got R.A. Minahan, who I've not spoken to since your loss to Kirk in trivia. Have you recovered? Steve from Providence did not seem well after that.
He did not seem well. I'm psychologically, I'm still recovering.
Okay.
It was pretty bad showing on my part. But,
there will be a rematch in the future, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, we have to work our way through the bracket. I'm feeling a little more confident, but we'll see.
We've got.
I'm so impressed. Now I know that RA can say more than I don't know. It's very. It's really.
Yes, he
nice
speaks actual words.
I know. I don't just sit here like I don't know.
And that gentleman you just heard chiming in is MH Obese, making his debut on Mike and the Minifans. How are you, sir?
Yeah, thanks for begging me to come on since Will wouldn't.
Yes.
This is what we're left with.
Leftovers is right. Yeah.
Do you hate? I only see your tweets once in a while. Do you hate MHB, or is it just a character you're sticking to?
No, I really love MHB, and actually for a while, what I started out with, not to hijack your Life of the Parody episode,
please.
At one point I wanted to convince MHB I was the real MHB and he's the parody. So I just kind of try to get really deep into his head. And it, it's a very dark and sandwich filled place. So it's been a lot of fun,
The sad thing is, if there's anyone that could work on where he would be arguing with you about it, it would be MHB. Like I can see MHB quote tweeting like, "This is not me." Just so you guys know, this is not me. This guy's bullshit. Don't follow this man.
Yeah, so when we first came on, Justin said, "Hey, you're not as big as I thought you would be." And I'm two TJ Hubbards in KMS metrics. So, I love MHB. I love how on Trash Talk he talks to me like I'm his little brother. And I'm more of a brother than his real brother. It's great. It's we're
I think we all love that bond. We've all noticed it over the years and grown fond of it. And also returning.
I'm one of the few people who actually listen to Trash Talk. All right, so you're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And another returning guest, Blind Prison Mike. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you? I tell you that protesters said things that made me feel less hurtful than that opening, though. I feel really bad about it.
I gotta say, I think I'll be the one to say it. I think you're kind of a pussy for not just taking the night off and being on Mike and the Minifans the last time we asked you. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. What's so important that you need to be out there?
I could not do that. No.
Well, you'll be the in-house pig that can respond to some of the topics we've gotten to this week. Mainly, I guess I'd like your thoughts as a police officer. What do you think of all the Ellie Schnitt stuff?
A lot of it didn't bother me. The links to different articles and ways to. What bothered me was she didn't research it. She didn't take the time to figure out where funds were going. In my opinion, people waste their money. They waste their money. It's the rhetoric that when that changed, that's when it was kind of getting on my nerves. The burning down the police stations, those kind of, because that changes interactions. It changes, on a vehicle stop when I try to approach someone, it changes that dynamic. If that person's heard that, or if they have that kind of rhetoric in their, in their ear at times, so that affects what I do. But donating to Black Lives Matter, if that donates to the Democratic Party, that doesn't really affect me. But it's the rhetoric that really got me.
Have you noticed that, in your work the last couple of weeks, that things have changed just with the way people treat you or the way people respect police officers or communicate with them?
It seems like it's the two different extremes. You'll either have, they don't want anything to do with you, or they want to give you a hug. There's really no, there's a lot more. It's always made me cringe when people say thank you for your service and things like that. It bothers me. But the last couple of days, it's been reassuring to hear.
What do you think of? Were you a Barstool fan before Kirk joined?
Slightly. I didn't get serious, and I followed him on Twitter. Things like that. Nothing too in depth.
what do you think of how all that's been handled? Because we talked a lot about that on the show. How their base is receiving people like Ellie Schnitt or Rhea, or even Carabas is tweeting out fundraisers and stuff like that, and it doesn't seem like they're communicating with everyone who's followed them for 10 years necessarily. What do you think about that sort of discussion?
No, I have guys that I work with that refuse to, they canceled their subscriptions. They won't buy anything. They're done. The guy where I work with took off his, he has a Beetle Stool sticker on one of his work things, and he ripped it off.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not good. For me, I'm a little more, take it as it comes, but it's in the community. I've noticed it a lot that people just don't want anything to do with it. They even had a Saturdays for the Boys flag at one of the areas, and they took that down too.
Do you think that's based on people like Ellie and Rhea, or is it based on how people they've been fans of for a longer period of time have reacted?
Everyone, I think, the pretty much everyone at Barstool. It seems like if they don't say it as specifically as Ellie and Rhea did, they imply it through different things that they've done. It's one thing to put out a press release or say we need to listen and we need to be more equal or have equality. It's another to take the route that they did.
What about you got RA and MHO Beast? What have you guys thought of how the whole thing was handled with Ellie, how Barstool's handling everything? I know RA was going after Ellie pretty good this week, so.
Yeah, well, that audio, even the clip of it, and people will say it's out of context. It's not. Like, it's almost worse in context.
Oh, I think we listened. We listened to almost the whole podcast.
Oh, you guys broke down the entire podcast pretty much, but it was just damning. Like, she let that girl talk just forever, and maybe she just chimed in at the wrong time. But based on the whatever makeup tutorial, whatever her new pet project is that we kind of sabotaged the other night, she just didn't. She just had nothing to apologize for, and that's unbelievable. Like, you can't just call for people to or agree with someone who's just saying like, oh, we should just burn down police precincts. Like, Blind Prison, like, realistically, like, what would happen if that were to happen? Like, if people just started burning down police precincts, and I just want to ask, I guess, like, what are your thoughts on Minneapolis? Like, how they're going about like dismembering like the police department?
That's an extreme. I don't see how it seems like they're trying to go towards more community. Like, you send a social worker to deal with this problem, you send a mental health advocate to deal with this problem, and that's fine. But until you have a domestic where a husband's beating the hell out of his wife, and you have to go in there and break them apart, and you got 3 kids you're trying to make sure don't see anything, it's a lot more than that. You can't. They look at it with such a narrow perspective that sometimes you need to be a forceful hand. Sometimes you need to be a social worker. That's what good cops are. They wear many hats. They're not just there to throw you on the ground. They're there to try to talk you through things. They do carry a gun and they need to use force at times. But I don't, with Minneapolis, I don't see how you're going to have a community team that's going to enforce DUIs. Like, who's going to pull?
And it's such a large city too.
Yep.
Like, it's not just like some like, I live in a really small town of like 10,000 people. Like, you might be able to do like a community task force here, but I can't imagine doing it in a huge city. And do you think it's going to be more widespread? Like, do you think this is going to catch on?
I think it is with the defunding element, because they're going to see it as, in my opinion, the Democrats are going to see this as an opportunity to divert funds. They're going to basically toss the unions away because they've tried to curry favor with them, but it's been going south. It
also seems like people have forgotten about like George Zimmerman. It's not just cops that have bad reactions to things. Now we're just allowing citizens to be vigilantes, I guess, but that didn't seem to go so well in certain cases. So I don't know why all of a sudden we have this belief that all cops are racist, all cops are bad, all cops need to be getting rid of. Of course, there are. Let me ask if you think this is right, Blind Prison, Mike. My thought is that not necessarily, maybe this particular Derek, I always forget his last name, but the guy with George Floyd, maybe he was a genuine racist. But my belief is more often these guys are poorly trained cops than genuine racists. And it takes away, to say defund it, maybe should be the opposite, where money should go more into education and proper training. Do you think that's more along the lines of what we should be doing?
I agree totally. I think that this asshole would have done that if it was a white guy. He would have done it if it was a Hispanic. I just think that
he's just a bad cop.
Yeah, like you said in the show, there's certain people that the profession draws in. The ones that want power and the ones that want to put force on people for unknown reasons. I think the training, de-escalation training, mental health awareness, that kind of, if you direct those funds to it'll make a huge difference.
MHO Beast, were you a Barstool guy before the Kirk Minahan show or no?
No. I'm in the Boston area, so I heard of Kirk through WEEI. Yeah. Actually, he converted me from Toucher and Rich, so just what was going on there. But
no, I'm curious, what you and RA, what do you guys think of how Barstool handled everything? How Ellie in particular, I guess, but really the company as a whole, how they communicated with their base, like their core audience.
It's hard to imagine that Ellie doesn't see the danger in what she's talking about. That if you were to turn the table and say, well, maybe somebody should go burn down someone else's business or someone else's place of work, and just completely not understanding that, but being caught up in this moment, trying to have her pet project. And being young and not understanding the danger of that, it's just mind blowing that somebody can do that. But I think Barstool as a whole has been, they're trying to toe a strange line because I have the feeling like they want to come out with a statement, but they know they're better off more kind of being a distraction in a lot of cases is just a better course for them. So.
I'll tell you what disappoints me about the whole thing is that, and a lot of this is because everything that's going on this week, and that we're hyper focused on it because it's about Kirk. So we're obviously going to notice it more than Feidelberg is going to notice it. But the fact that Ellie just throws out so casually racist and tosses that at Kirk when it's something he was fighting against at EEI with the Globe and all that. The fact that it's so easy to throw that phrase out there and no one kind of jumps to the defense and says like, well, that's pretty fucked up. Because that's something Barstool's dealt with for a long time, of just this label of sexist and toxic masculinity, or racist is the most bizarre one that Barstool gets all the time. But those labels are thrown out all the time. So it's amazing to me that anyone at the company can just with such ease be like, oh, this person's a racist and fuck them.
Maybe it's just become so commonplace just to label people as racist that it just kind of moves with the news cycle.
Right.
It's so commonplace. You're like, oh my God, you're a racist. Oh my God, you're a fascist. That you read through it in your timeline, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, and then you scroll up, and it's just that it's just so commonplace right now that you're almost numb to it.
It was kind of my defense of Ellie. It was kind of my defense of Ellie, and it's not really a defense, but however you want to phrase it. My mild defense of her was that it's more the college. Like I sat through these college courses where they just filter this shit into your brain, and it kind of like, depending upon how shaped you already are going into those classes and how much they can mold you, you can just come out thinking that's the truth. And I'm lucky enough, I'm old enough where that started in college. But I guess if you're Ellie's age, she's probably 4 or 5 years younger than me. If you're Ellie's age, it started when you were in high school or middle school. So it's just this thing, like these buzzwords of racism and everything are fucking shoved down your throat at a young age. So then when you're 24 and you hear anyone that disagrees with it, it's like, oh, they're a racist because they don't agree with what I said.
Yeah, that's just it. It's any disagreement that then it just goes to that level. And there are other terms that get thrown around too much, which, I mean, we joke about on the show about Steve being a Nazi, but that's really thrown out a whole lot. And the term fascist and just people go to that extreme, and just wear it out to where it almost has no meaning anymore.
And it must offend people like Steve who are genuinely Nazis. And it's like, hey, I've worked for such a long time to get to this level, and these people are just getting it based on nothing,
Yeah.
Blind Prison.
I was wondering why you guys didn't go after Ellie for calling Kirk a racist. I'm kind of waiting for the second shoe to drop, to be honest with you.
Oh, you think? You think Kirk's got more in store for her?
Yeah, well, I mean, I normally wouldn't you do? Isn't that right up your alley? I can't imagine that you would let that just go by. I mean, I know there's a lot going on with Kayce Marco, but maybe I don't know. Maybe he's got something.
That's a lot of it. That's a lot of it. The Kayce Marco stuff was so big all week, so that kind of overshadowed everything. But I'll give you. I don't know why specifically we didn't do like a whole show on it or anything. My theory on it would be this: it was kind of a throwaway comment that she said. You could tell she almost didn't even really mean it, or maybe she didn't mean it. She definitely meant it. But like you said, it was almost more of a reflex than a genuine accusation. And I think it might just be a lack of respect. Like, Kirk doesn't really give a fuck what Ellie thinks about her. It's not like there's going to be this crusade of people the way there was with the Globe that are trying to take Kirk or the show down now. So I almost think it was a little like, well, who gives a fuck what Ellie says? I think it was almost dismissive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, oh no, that makes sense. Yeah, she's not even on his radar, because I guess like with the burning down the police was like a wider sort of issue as opposed to just directly against you guys. So that makes sense.
Yeah, if the Kayce Marco stuff wasn't going on, maybe, I don't know, maybe we do a whole show on it. But it was just such a, I think from a person that those opinions no one gives a fuck about, because like you said before, she's already moved on. Now she's doing makeup tutorials and shit.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like this is her real. She's never. Here's another possibility. She's never gonna fight with us.
No.
Yeah.
If Kirk does 10 shows with the fuck Ellie Schnitt, where we break down every episode and blah blah, Ellie's never going to respond. That'll be the most we ever get out of her. So maybe that's why as well. I don't know.
But it was a ton of fun sending in all the comments on her Periscope video. I mean, at one point, I think there was like 700 people in there, and it was just a wall of Gina, and white. It was a ton of fun.
The best in those videos, the best part is, and this is my favorite part of the Greg Hill, because he's hyper focused on, where you see the person and they're kind of talking, and then they get distracted a little, and they're you can kind of tell they're reading a little. Okay, we'll find one we can use here. Like, that's the best when they're actually commenting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, find one we can use here. It's like, oh, gee, I wonder what you're referring to.
Yeah. Greg Hill, the Ellie one was, I think the Greg Hill one was still more fun, but the Ellie one was right up there, because Greg Hill had a sponsor on him, was just rattled.
Greg Hill, I thought, was melting down. I think
he was losing it.
We said on the show that it truly is more of a visual. Like, he's not, you're just kind of watching him. He doesn't say anything particularly interesting.
Yeah.
But you are watching a guy like, what the fuck? And every once in a while he's like, should we just turn the cameras off? Should we just end this now?
He was
So you
like,
can
trying
tell
to
how
be kidding
badly
about
he
it,
wanted
but yeah. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. That's what I thought of immediately was Greg Hill, that Periscope was fun. She definitely was a little rattled at the end when she said, "I have nothing to apologize for," and then just shut off the feed.
You know, we did find a real enemy, or we need to find the real enemy. This guy Al Morrissey. All right, so we know he lives at 12 Main Street in Haverhill. And I have the first 6 digits of his phone number if you want me to give it out, Mike.
Who? Why do I know that name? Why does that sound familiar to me?
Kirk said he was a racist, or you and Kirk said he was a racist at the Red Sox game, and we were supposed to go after him.
Oh,
so.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, it's 617-688-808. There's the first 6 numbers. It's going to take you less than 10 tries.
617-688-DINO. I got that reference. I'm part of that exclusive club who's got that phone number.
How'd you guys like hearing the Dino story? RA, as an old Denison Callahan fan, how'd you like hearing the Dino stories? It's funny to me to hear.
Stories, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I like
nice
hearing ones that are like behind the scenes. Like DEC tells a good one about Alfredo sauce on his pants in like Florida or something like that. But he seems to be like a wild guy.
It's kind of nice to hear Kirk tell those stories now, because on Kirk and Callahan there was always like this cloud of tension when Dino was talking. They would make fun of Dino, but there seemed to be like a hatred still where they were like, fuck that guy. It didn't seem to be as fun, where now Kirk can kind of look back at it and look at how ridiculous that man is. And tell those, like, we got the Cheetos story, we got the protein injections.
The protein injections. I was looking at like trap, or what was it, like the weather girls or something like that. And then because I mean when they were on the air, they wouldn't talk during the breaks.
Right.
Like, it was just dead silence. So it is kind of fun that they can look back and just kind of appreciate it for what it was. Even when he was talking like Ken Laird, like he was saying, if they were doing that, him and Curtis and Laird were in a room at Dino's funeral, it'd always go back to just crazy Dino stories.
How funny is it now, like looking back, that Kirk probably hates Ken and Curtis more than Dino at this point? I don't know if he doesn't seem to actually hate Curtis, but he dislikes both of them probably more than Dino at this point, which is not something you would see coming. Yeah,
I think that Ken and Curtis kind of turncoat, and they
Oh,
kind of
how
joined
bad!
the other.
I didn't plan on
joined
getting
the other
this.
side.
How bad was that fucking both the Tory Hunter interview and the Sam Kennedy interviews for Curtis? That was a horrible look.
Yeah, that was rough. I didn't like the Sam Kennedy interview. Brought back memories of EEI that I just didn't like.
When Sam
was
Kennedy was
bored by
on the
with
Kirk
you
show?
guys. It just brought me back into just like, oh, it's Sam Kennedy, like he's just gonna talk, and nothing's gonna come out.
Right.
But it was interesting to see that, he kind of admitted, like as much as he could, that he had no proof about the Tory Hunter story at all.
It was interesting just that he came on because that confirms everything Kirk said about him. Where
that he's just a big pleaser.
He's a pleaser. He wants people to like him. Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting.
I think it also showed you knew Kirk didn't have questions prepared, and when he answered and he was ready to go, he was still able to roll with it, like as if he did prepare.
Oh God, yeah. Imagine if that was me. Imagine if on the fly I had to interview. I'm just like, well, Sam, I don't know. How's the workout this morning? What are you up to?
Like the first time I called Riccio and he answered it, I was like, I went with it. But it was
the greatest one of those moments ever of being unprepared. We'll never hear it, but it's been talked about a million times. But for any new listeners, it was when DEC called Steve off air, didn't think he was going to answer, and then just started playing Dino drops and got Steve to respond. And Steve was like, "Sir, you've got the wrong number. What are you doing?" Steve had a full conversation with a fake Dino, and DEC was just not prepared for that and didn't record it. And we'll never have that magic now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other big story of the week was Kayce Marco. What do you guys think of how? I don't know what's left to say about Kayce Marco. It seems like, especially based on Friday's show, maybe we'll take a break for a little while because all the meat's been ripped off the bone. But do you guys have any thoughts that we haven't gotten to?
As somebody said this week, he ain't too swift. I mean, he's just a wet
got a little
noodle on the show. Oh man, like he knew he was going to get it, but he was just already whimpering before he even got there. Like he couldn't even have half of a spine to even fight back a little bit. It was just completely huge waste of time to be like that. But yeah, it was fun picking on him, and like that he's getting 1,000 notifications on Twitter, and me thinking about him reading through all of that just makes me smile.
It's funny that I still get like, I'll tweet about I tweeted about Howard Stern or something today, and the responses are like, so this and this, and by the way, #fire Kayce Marco.
Yeah.
Like people are keeping it going. Were we gonna say BPM?
I think the most interesting thing of the whole Kayce Marco is the blog itself, like with Zonker. He put it out there to everyone on Twitter constantly. Before
right.
Before
yeah,
doing
I had seen that multiple times before it was on Barstool. That's why when I was reading it, I was like, wait a second, what's happening here? I don't understand.
And then the thing that, 14 people probably only care about this, but the poor Red, like the guy, I feel so bad because what he was trying to do with Zonker the night before on the rundown, he was trying to say that voice is needed in the sense of it's someone that doesn't always agree. He has a more liberal standpoint where I think most of us have a conservative one. That kind of perspective is needed, not necessarily the person that's going to shit on the show. And then poor Red, the blog gets posted to Barstool right after that, and I feel like he took so much unnecessary shrapnel for that. I feel so bad, and he's such a good fan, and he really
is he though? Because Kirk seems to hate him.
I think that is a miscommunication between Steve and Red. There's something that's in the wiring there that some kind of message that was sent. I don't know what it is, but the two of them, there's something.
I'll say I gotta blame Red for that only because of my interactions with him. Where he's been a great guy. He's been very nice to me always, and even when we kind of stopped doing that must-see show together, he was very respectful of that. But where the miscommunication comes is, I guess, the way he phrases stuff on Twitter that people send to us. Because I'll get screenshots that people send to me. Everyone thinks it's Justin, but it's actually just random people sending me shit from like Discord or whatever. Where it seems like he's talking shit about us. So I don't know. But then he seems like a very nice guy to us. So I don't know what's what with that guy.
I personally, I can only speak to, I in conversations I've had with him, I don't think it's talking shit. I think it's just it might be a wording issue or a message issue.
Yeah,
and
I'll get him on at some point.
Yeah, I don't blame Steve for the disconnect necessarily. I just think that that's what it originated as, and maybe the information's getting a little, contorted on its way. They gave him a telephone.
What are your thoughts on that guy, RA? As a veteran Minifan, where do you stand with Red?
I've always had good interactions with Red.
Yeah.
I've only really talked to him on here before. He's always been really nice to me. The times we've gone back and forth on Twitter, it's been fine. With the Blobe and the Phil situation way back when, he kind of reached out and with a couple of us from the private thread, and we're trying to solve things. So I've really had nothing but good interactions with him. I mean,
yeah, maybe he's not. Yeah, maybe.
I know he takes a lot of heat, but I guess deservedly so based on the clips I've seen. But he's been nothing but nice to me.
Yeah, maybe he's just a guy who's bad at.
Sun.
Maybe he's just a guy who's bad at getting his point across on Twitter, where people think he's saying it one way and he means it the other. I don't know. But that actually brings me to a topic we talked about before the show. But what do you guys think of what kind of happened with the YouTube channel? All the Zonker shit kind of inspired. I guess the Mincel Intel guys are gone. I guess that would really be it, right? That was truly affected. My dumb must-see show is not happening because of that. But really, it's just the Mincel Intel guys that are gone because of that.
Well, the rundown.
The rundown's completely gone, though?
That's what I thought.
Well, we did say that was the finale last week, I guess. But but can't other people take that over? Because it's just John and Red that were doing it. Weren't there other people
So is it just
involved?
anything that the Mincel guys were on? Are they just disappeared? They just go away now?
Well, I'll say that. I'll give John from Scranton credit because I saw his tweets about it, and everyone thinks he's kind of just in it for the clout and everything. But I think he did the right thing and was like, "Hey, Kirk wants us gone. We're gone. We care about the show first and foremost." So he said the right stuff. I don't know. What do you, as fans who watch the YouTube shows, what do you guys think of all that?
Well, for me, go ahead.
Go ahead.
For me, the best part about, I really did like the Mincel Intel show. I thought the structure of the show makes a lot of sense. They're trying to bring in new fans. But obviously the worst part is you have to look at Will's face. And then he just, that kid steps on every single joke, everybody trying to talk. So I won't miss that part. But I did like the idea of that show. And it seems like, they were doing a good job of trying to educate people about Kirk. But and I think the rundown is also, I've watched it a few times. But again, the most memorable part is when, Manners lost his mind. I would say they'll be missed, but somebody can come in with something different and be just as effective. Get the.
Did you guys know Quantum Week doesn't do YouTube shows anymore? I guess it's been going on for a month. I didn't know that. I did the show with those guys today, and I was like, "Is this one going on YouTube?" They were like, "Are you joking? We haven't done it in a month on YouTube." I was like, "Oh yeah, of course I knew that. Of course I'm paying attention."
Well, are they bigger than you? They kind of introduced everyone to you guys, right?
It is. I got it. You say that jokingly. It's a real bone of contention with them.
Was it really?
Well,
I didn't mean to laugh. I'm sorry.
Oh, you'll hear on my episode on Wednesday if you listen. They introduced me as Blind Mike from the Kirk Minahan show on Barstool Sports, which I jokingly say, and I explained what Barstool Sports is. I was like, for all your fans that don't know, and they're like, "Hey, we do have listeners that don't know the show." I'm telling you, they take it very seriously. But Blind Prison Mike, what were you going to say about the YouTube channel? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to look at Mincel Intel. I would hope that when they brought Zonker in, I feel like that was a big get. Because he is we were at war with Dave, and Dave and him were at war, enemy of my enemy.
Yes.
It definitely evolved into something that I don't think anyone wants anything to do with. That's for sure. But I hope, yeah.
What do you guys think of Zonker and the comparisons to Murchison or Riccio? Do you think he's that level, RA?
No, Murchison's calculated and connected. Zonker just seems off the rails. He seems like just some 60-year-old guy who owns a domain, and that's about it, and just kind of rambles on. And I don't know any of the backstory with Zonker. All coming in to Barstool, just kind of seeing him as some guy who just owns a domain name. I don't really get it. So I think there's a lot of people like me who are just kind of oh, okay. So it doesn't really have the same effect.
Right. It's kind of a
whatever
funny
he's trying to go
story, I
for.
guess, that he owns.
I guess, and it's really
Barstool.com.
between like him and Dave, and it's not really Kirk at all. Like it didn't
but
start
even
that way.
it's a thing we've grown out of too, because no one types in www.barstoolsports.com anymore. Everyone has the app on their phone or clicks on a link on Twitter or whatever. No one's typing it in, or very few people are typing it in wrong to their search bar still. So it's kind of an irrelevant
like
topic
bigger than
anyway.
that. Yeah, I don't really think he's even comparable, just because he's just such an afterthought, and he just doesn't. Obviously, didn't. He got on the good graces of Kayce Marco, and that's about it.
Right. Yeah. So why do you think? Why it has to be a malicious thing, right? What the fuck was Kayce Marco thinking, publishing that blog? Because even if he wants to get back at Kirk, you have to think someone's going to say, "Why would you publish a political blog?" Like, was there no point that Kayce Marco said, "Well, this is not the one to do it with because it's a political blog by a guy who doesn't work here."
Well,
Has he blogged on the site before, Sonker?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's
recently. I don't.
No, not recently.
Yeah, so it has to be malicious. Like I don't understand. Like, yeah, Kayce Marco probably just said, "Oh, Dave, like the Zonker guy," and then, it's going to be funny. And
but
then
he didn't even think of an
Dave's
excuse.
not going to. Yeah, but Dave's not going to read it, and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever." Kayce Marco, one of my guys, and then post it up, and then he gets just fucked in the ass. And I think the biggest tell was what Erica said. I think Erica knows that Kayce Marco's job is just shit. Like he is so little in the grand scheme of things. So
what makes it even better is he held that blog for an extra day or two.
Yeah,
still did not proofread or edit or do any of his job. He made the decision, I'm going to hold it over so more people will look at it. He gave himself more time to do his job, and he still didn't do it. I mean, just
like you had the editor in chief of Barstool Sports saying, "I don't care about writing."
Yeah.
I get what he's
if I'm America, I'm like,
say
what
there,
the fuck are you doing? Like, you don't make the company a dime. Like, what? Like, I just don't know what he does. I don't understand what his motive was. I'm going to defend you, Blind Mike, about digging up the old tweets, because he dug up he took old screenshots from a Deadspin article of like the staff comments like a year or two ago, tweeted them out to make them look bad. So as soon as I saw that, game on. If you're going to do it, be prepared, because people are going to dig through your stuff also.
True. That was dumb of me to post that and say like, well, I was very vague about it, but I was like, I'm surprised these white knights don't know to clean up their Twitter or something like that. And I deleted it because I was like, you know what? I don't want to be the guy now sending people to Kayce Marco's Twitter or something. That's fucked up, and that was dumb of me to do.
Well, it sent me there, so that's a very long time digging through those tweets.
We need mercenaries too.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we got your back.
Hey, thanks.
We'll do your dirty work for you. Just DM me next time.
Thank you very much. Exactly what I wanted. But what did you guys think?
Some of those are just out of context, but the links don't work, so it just makes them look terrible. Like, right. I don't know what you're thinking about, posting that.
What do you think of the play? The thing that shocked me most is, so we came in Wednesday to do the serious show, and I said to Steve beforehand, I was like, so I'm probably not going to talk much, right? Because if Kayce Marco is going to be on for 45 minutes or so, I guess I'll just talk at the beginning and then let Kirk and Kayce Marco go at it. And Steve goes, no, I don't think it'll be that long. I was like, oh, really? And then I think I forget if it was right before the show or at the beginning of the show, Kirk made reference to it, and I go, well, Kayce Marco's going to be on for the whole show, right? And Kirk said, 10, 15 minutes at most. And I was like, what are you? I thought they were fucking nuts. And then he gets on and has this bizarre play of, yeah, I guess I'm sorry. Like he was tired. Oh, like he was tired. What do you guys think of that? The route to go. Why did he do that? I've been wondering that for 3 days now.
Maybe he's a genius and he knew that just fighting was going to make it worse. But that's also the stupidity, because he should have known it would make much better content to go in and just try to defend his, even a made up reason. If he even just plays it up for the show, would have been good, because he could have got more content out of it. He may even actually write something himself, or maybe have Zonka write something for him. I don't know. But it just total miscalculation of how to play the moment, and trying to weasel out of being a villain, where he could have just played it up and had way more fun doing it.
But even if you're gonna go into it, sorry, 1 second. If you're gonna go in and apologize, the way to do it would be maybe over the top and almost make fun of Kirk in the way you're doing it. Like talk about over the top what a genius he is, and kind of force Kirk to, take your side or feel bad for you all. I don't know the way he could have done it to make it funny or interesting or get Kirk on his side, whatever he had to do. But that wasn't it. I don't understand it.
I think he played it that way because he had less of a leg to stand on than Ted does. Like he just didn't have. There was nothing he could do. He just laid down and played dead.
I think he thought he had Dave in his corner at one point, but I'm sure the two of them had a conversation probably on Tuesday. Yeah. And I think Kayce Marco came to realize very quickly that Dave was not in his corner. So his best route of action was the slug defense. Because he did anything he said, no one would have his back, and the higher ups. Erica clearly doesn't, and I guess like I said, Dave doesn't. So he's kind of in no man's land, except him and what's her face, Liz Gonzalez is on his side.
Liz and Nate. What do you guys think of Nate?
Who was what did he have a tweet with eyeballs at at Barstool on Monday or something, on Sunday or something like that before the thing dropped?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
But Nate, I don't know. Nate came on and I understood Nate's defense. I think that's why none of us were particularly harsh on him. But it was very strange to me to be, like I was talking from the little guy's perspective, me and Jack Mack and those people. But it is odd, imagine if, when Dave destroyed me on Barstool Radio and screamed at me. Can you imagine how bad the woe is me stigma I have would be if I was like, hey guys, I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't understand why everyone's giving me all this guff, doesn't that seem like the worst possible defense for Nate to go with?
But I think it's even worse for Kim.
Leave Brittany alone kind of defense there. Well, that's my friend. Be nice to him.
Right.
Who cares if he's your friend or not? He's an idiot.
But it would be like if you were to do the woe is me thing, Mike, and then Steve come out and be like, hey guys, really
lay
off me.
Yes. That's a better example.
Kayce Marco couldn't even do it himself. He sent out someone to take the shrapnel for him. That's pathetic.
Right.
But,
I get it. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it because it's not me doing the woe is me.
Yeah.
It's someone else doing it for me.
It's everyone taking a dump on you and Steve being like, hey guys, he's real sensitive. He's been, he's been with me in hard times. It's like, okay, that's great and all, but he still sucks at his job. That doesn't excuse him for what he did. I'm blindly loyal to some people, but I can, I understand that they still probably, it was a shitty thing for them to do, but
yeah, and Dave said, it's not the Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
And if, say, the schnitheads or whatever fan base you want to use starts going after Kirk, the defense we all would have of Kirk is not, hey, the guy's a good father and a family man, and
hey man, he's got mental health issues.
He's been very nice to me. It's hey, fuck you. It's now we're on the attack. It's not hey, the guy's been through a lot. Don't you understand that? Ellie Schnitt. That's never. I don't understand how someone who's worked at Barstool as long as Nate has goes to that defense so quickly. It's very odd.
I thought this was the pirate ship, but I guess it isn't.
Yeah,
everyone's super sensitive.
The other real big story that I think kind of just sort of overshadowed everything at the end of the week is that finally, at long last, I'm going to get my just due. I'm going to get to tell my story. The Blind Mike saga will finally be put to paper, and you guys will get to see all the tawdry details of my life. I guess, what are you guys hoping to see in my book? I think there's going to be a lot of we're going to have some pages to fill, so we may include some crosswords. I think someone suggested Mad Libs. We may have some blank pages so you can do your own drawings or fill in your own commentary. What would you guys like to see in my book?
I want to see the Mike and the Minifans chapter, where you explain, no, Dave Cullinane's idea was for him to talk to fans. My idea,
but it was a shorter version.
To talk to fans. Yeah.
You see, that should be
completely different.
That should be like 3 chapters. Me explaining why Cullinane's idea is different than mine. No. Mine is in longer form. His was kind of set up like around the horn. It was quick firing. Mine was a long form.
Oh yeah. The title I saw somebody tweeted out was unoriginal ideas, EYE ideas.
I like that.
Yeah. It's just filled of you copying anything that Steve or Kirk say to do. Yeah.
Yes. I do think I think I don't see it as the best title. It's got the double meaning. It's Joe Zarbano finally gets to be immortalized in publishing. So I think that might be the best title. Although Tim from Canton had a good one. I think just Load Eater, nice and simple. Blind Prison Mike, what are you hoping to see out of the book?
I would honestly like to see the exit from EEI. That because I remember on Twitter following you and that rant you went on when Zambrano pulled your podcast.
Yeah.
And that whole dynamic, I'd love to see that in a couple chapter or two.
It's pretty fascinating. I can't wait to expose all the juicy details I left out of that rant. All the sexual exploits that went into that. There's a lot of sauciness that I haven't gotten into.
I want to see the stuff. I want to see the stuff outside of work. I mean, if you're going to do a full biography,
right.
Steve's going to have to, dive deep into your personal life. Like I want to see this relationship between you and Alba. I want to see the relationship between you and your mom, mom.
Okay. Of course.
You and your dad. I'd like to have like a nice little, kind of where to go wrong. Like, do you have like insecure feelings about it? Like, all that. I'm looking forward to the photo section. That would be nice. I'm sure it'll be very flattering.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I do want to see on the back of every. Well, I mean, you're obviously going to have the picture of B. Michael Geary with the sweater vest, and that should be your author photo. Oh yeah, for like about the author. But I'm looking forward to see who's going to comment on the back cover. What rave reviews you're going to get.
Yeah, I think I could get some legitimate celebrity blurbs there. I think, I'm sure Dave would love to contribute one. Big Cat, Kirk,
fat piece of shit.
I'm sure they'll all be very complimentary. I want this taken seriously. I'm an author. I'm a novelist.
The former president of was it Brandeis? Maybe she's available to.
Oh yeah,
well, big name. Yeah, no, Bentley College, Bentley University. We've got a big name. Disgraced Westfield State President Evan Dobell will be. What I really can't wait for is the moments that I'm just going to Steve will be at my apartment documenting my life, and I've got to drone on and on about my life. That's what I really can't, because I think Steve thought this would be all fun and games, and we'd bang this out in an hour. But I really intend to drag it out as much as I possibly can.
Turn it into a therapy session real quick.
How funny is it though that sort of an idea? That's kind of the brilliance of Kirk. That idea is something that's just said. Steve remembered some obscure fact about me, and Kirk just says, "What are you writing a book about him?" And then within 6 minutes, all of a sudden, now we're actually publishing a book that Steve is going to have to write about my life, and will actually be selling copies.
It's gonna be a bestseller. It'll sell what? 50,000 copies at least.
I mean, the
Minifans will buy it. I'm going to buy it.
I was talking to Steve, and he was like, "This could really sell. We could actually move some books here."
You'd be on the New York Times bestseller list. It's an actual possibility.
What I really want to do is, I mentioned what is the Million Little Pieces guy, or what I really want to do. I hope to make the Ellen DeGeneres Oprah tour, where I'm like, guys,
club, yeah.
I'm like, guys, listen. This is when I got arrested. I was at the East Long Meadow Carnival. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So that's what I really can't wait for, and I do think it's going to be a bestseller. Hopefully, I'll have a few pages churned out by the Saco trip, so we'll get to hear more about it then. Are you guys all going to that?
Yes,
I am. I'm picking up 8 other Minifans around the year. 8.
Has that been approved?
Through.
What size vehicle are you getting?
It's just a van. It's a 12-passenger van. We bring it to the drive-ins around where I'm from. So
okay.
They let it go. So.
All right. I know Steve was very touchy about the RV situation. So.
Yeah. No. It's a big white panel, like a white 12-passenger van.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun. What are your guys' expectations for that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't go. So.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
Yeah. My job won't they won't let me come into work if I leave the state for 2 weeks, and also the ankle bracelet that kind of prevents me. But
mine won't either, but I'm doing it. I just
Attaboy.
don't tell him.
Yeah.
He'll be out of a
Boy.
job by then. They'll dismantle his police department, so he's got nothing to
Oh,
worry
yeah.
about.
It'll burn down.
Yeah. At least you'll take care of that problem.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts or questions you have for me before we get out of here on a lovely Mike the Minifans Saturday?
I wanted to say I thought this week was one of the best weeks, and even going back last week, starting with the Gina show, it's just been great because we've gotten all the different kinds of shows in the last 6 or 7. Because I think Monday you had a show that was all calls, like from the get go, it was all calls, and then you had one with absolutely no calls. And then a serious one, funny one. I just think it's just been such a great week, and a couple of times, sitting at my desk listening to it, I had to mute it, pause it, and go laugh somewhere without my coworkers staring at me. So it's just a great week of shows.
Where do you guys put this week among? Because there have been a few stretches where there just happen to be lined up unbelievable weeks of shows. Someone compared it to the week we were at the Super Bowl, which I'm surprised was up there for that. But I guess in terms of interacting with Barstool people, maybe that's the comparison. But where do you guys rank this among the weeks of shows? Because it's been a really fun one, even dating back to the week prior. But
for me, it's right up there with Cullinane's last week, because that's the week that you had the Steve My Good Man episode, but also you had, I think, Rich Mandarin was that week.
I believe that was actually the same episode, if I'm not mistaken. I think Rich Mandarin and Steve My Good Man were born from the same episode.
I think there were 1 or 2 episodes.
I thought they were
apart.
separate ones.
You might be right.
Steve My Good Man was the very last one.
You could be right.
Same week. Yeah, I think it's right up there with that week. The Super Bowl week was also good, but I think this one might be the top list for me.
It was good. I liked this one. Reminded me of the Albright week, where it was just a madness for a couple days, and the whole community just came together to just shit on one person. And in this case, we had 2 people to shit on. But what's his name? Robert Little, kind of late to the Albright party, but I saw that he kind of put him in a body bag earlier in the week.
He did,
Twitter.
yeah.
Yeah, Robert Little, confirmed Minifan now. He's now beloved.
Absolutely. And I said, I forget if we talked about this last week. I forget exactly when that happened, if we talked about it on here or not. But what I loved about that is Robert Little, in the middle of that basically political argument, taking a break and saying, hold on, is this true? And just tweeting a fucking Turtle Boy link about Steve getting fired for the Albright.
and then to drop the mic, he was just like, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. And then just left. It was great. But yeah, the Albrights, this reminded me of that a lot, and just kind of how we are really, the best fan base in the world. And Kirk said it, Entercom let us walk away. Like,
I saw you tweet that, and I thought that was a great point.
Like
when you look at the trending topic.
Walk. Yeah, I checked on it, and we were number 5 in the country. I don't know if it got any higher, but Firekit, we mobilized, and it's interesting that Entercom just decided to let us go.
You were number 5. You were number 5 in the country for hashtag Fire Kayce Marco, based on something Kirk said on a YouTube live stream that went down immediately afterward. Like, it wasn't up right away, right? Yeah. So Kirk says something
like 5
on
minutes.
YouTube to 1,000 people or whatever. It goes away. And then the podcast is not live, so you don't hear us talking about it throughout the entire podcast, and it's still trending on. That was a fun night to be there and taking calls. Yeah, that was.
When people were calling in, they're like, and by the way, Fire Kayce Marco, and then hang up. So just something that's small, and then just word of mouth. You see it on Twitter, and you're like, well, gotta do this now. So it's
BPM. Do you remember a week that kind of compares to this?
No, I like this one. This was my favorite. I'd say the Super Bowl would be up there, but
it's funny. I wouldn't have thought. A couple people said that. I wouldn't have thought of the Super Bowl as like one of the best weeks necessarily. But I guess looking back, it was because there was just so much shit going on, and Kirk interacting with the Barstool people, and me being told I was going to ruin the company. Like, there was some stuff you forget about it.
Then I just love Kayce Smith, so I think that had a role.
Kayce Smith is a goddess. Everyone loves Kayce Smith. Unless, she was. That got overshadowed too. By the way, did you hear Brendan Walker defending Kirk?
Mm-hmm.
That, for anyone that didn't hear it, on Unnecessary Roughness, Brendan Walker says something. I forget what the analogy was, but he goes, "That's like being an editor that doesn't edit." And Casey Smith goes, "Oh, that's a ricochet shot," and he goes, "The fuck are you talking about? It's a direct shot." So he basically said, "Fuck Kayce Marco," which you like to hear. BPM, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, we got nothing.
All right, RA?
No, good week.
All right, boys.
Hopefully next week's
Oh,
good.
BPM, I wanted to thank you for taking a break from making babies to spend some time with us here. So, no, congratulations, and yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for honestly, thank you for being it's a weird time to be I'm not going to get too sappy, but it is.
Oh boy,
it is tough that you have to go out there. So
Oh, boy.
thank you for your service.
No.
You tired of hearing that yet? All right, boys. Thank you very much.
Oh, I do have one thing. I
Go
have
ahead.
seats in my car for Sacco. If anyone needs a ride or was missed out, just DM me and
You heard
we'll
that,
figure
ladies.
something out.
DMs are open for RA Minahan.
Ash, grass, or ass. So
He's got plenty
no one
of room.
rides for free.
Or you can join Latino Kirk and Will in whatever fucking.
Oh yeah, and
debauchery they'll be getting
they're shag carpet. Astro fan.
What an absolute disgrace. That just put me in a. If my mood was off today, it's because I was humiliated minutes before the show when I was told both
This will be an
Latino
interesting
Kirk and
chapter
Will
in the
bailed
book.
on me. Yeah. My suicide.
Yeah. This is
All
just
right,
the
boys.
end. Last chapter.
Thank you very much. Justin, take us out of here.
Another tough day at work today. Stephen Kirk, think I suck. Throw back a few wobbly pops, feeling down on my luck. And the interns ruin every show. But it's still where we want to go. It's Mike and the Minifans. 'Cause nobody had any better plans. You wanna be with DC and R.A. Minahan. The host can't see it's Mike and the Minifans. And nobody's seen real MHB. This whole thing is a sham. You never see him pee, it's Mike and the Minifans.